Hello everybody, this is March the 1st. This is Laura Susan Johnson with Period Pieces. Today's film, wow, just wow, amazing movie. I watched it the first time about 3 or 4 nights ago, and there were a lot of gaps in it, and I tried to review it, but I wasn't satisfied with my own review because there were just too many gaps. Too many sketchy things that I wasn't quite connecting to, and I wasn't sure I understood. Too many different characters, and too many different things going on that they were happening so fast that I wasn't getting them. So I watched it the second time, and I also read a few articles about the movie. The movie is a multinational effort from Spain, France, and Canada. And it was filmed quite a bit in Canada. I think the family in question, the single mom and her 2 little boys, they live in Manitoba, but I don't know if it's extreme northern Manitoba at the beginning or just somewhere, in the middle of Manitoba. But at the end of the film, it's definitely extreme, maybe into the Northwest Territories even. I'm not sure. The film was directed by a talented Spanish director named Claudia Llosa. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's double L, so I'm not sure. It is Spanish, but I was taught Mexican Spanish, so please forgive me if I was incorrect with that pronunciation. The cast includes one of my all-time favorites, Jennifer Connelly, The Woman Can Do No Wrong. Cillian Murphy, same there. Melanie Laurent, I have to admit, I never did see the movie Beginners. I plan to watch that next because she is a very good actress. She plays a journalist who plays into this movie. Also, the cast includes Peter McRobbie, Ian Tracy, William Schimmel, and 2 brothers named Zen McGrath and Winta McGrath. Very pretty names. Una Chaplin. She plays Cillian Murphy's wife in the movie, Alice. So, the movie revolves around a mother and son's very complicated relationship. And critics, this movie premiered at, I believe, the 2014 Berlin Film Festival, a very good film festival in my opinion. Very prestigious. I don't know if it won awards. It might have got some awards and nominations. Either way, though, this is an Oscar-worthy movie. And like a movie I just recently reviewed called Paradise Road, this seems to have just been brushed off as, who gives a shit. There's no CGI, there's no orange ball explosions, there's no action heroes, there's no superhero, decals slapped on it. It's just a story. It's a thinking person's story. It's very, very raw. The emotions are just under the skin. It's a very quiet and introspective movie, but it's so amazing. And some of the critics called it aloof. It was like, they were playing on the word, of course, but they were also just being smartasses about it. Like it had no feelings, like it was a cold movie, as cold as the setting it was in. And the setting is beautiful and icy and cold and mysterious. But it's such a story about love and pain and hatred even. I mean, hatred, pain, love, healing, atonement, forgiveness. It's the kind of story that I just thrive on when I catch one of these stories. It's too quiet, though, for the general public. It's too thought-provoking. It's too beautiful. It's beautiful in every way I can think of. So let's get to the story. This family, this young mother, I don't know where the father is. I would think he's dead because she still seems to have a relationship with the grandpa, but then again, that could be her dad. I don't know. The grandpa is Papa Ike, played by Peter McRobbie, and she works on a hog farm, and she doesn't get that many work hours, so she's kind of struggling financially. But she does have Ike, her father or father-in-law, to help out. He doesn't live too far away, I guess. And she, unfortunately, her younger son, Gully, played by Wynton McGrath, he's got a brain tumor that even if it's most likely it's not operable without it killing him. And even if it did get removed, it doesn't mean it would help him at all. It could grow back. It could just end up causing a cerebral hemorrhage. It might be a lost cause to even attempt it. In the meantime, her older son, Ivan, the young version of Ivan is played by Zen McGrath. This kid is brilliant. When he interacts with Jennifer McConnelly in some of the most grueling scenes you've ever seen, this kid is amazing. I think he's better than, I hate to say this and get everybody pissed off, but I think he outranks the likes of Haley Joel Osment as far as a child actor. This kid is just fantastic. I mean, he blew me away. He made me just sit there and bawl my eyes out because it was a gut punch. It was heart-wrenching to see this kid interacting with Jennifer Connelly. I mean, she is a woman. She's a grown woman. She can act her ass off. But this kid, these two should have been honored. Amazing. They should have been honored. People should have been kissing their asses for the acting they did. So Gully, the smaller boy, has a bad brain tumor. And Jennifer Connelly, her character's name is Nana. She's the mom. She's got her two boys, Ivan and Gully. Gully's the sick one. She takes the kids on a very long distance trip to see a faith healer. She's basically a woman who's not sure she believes in this stuff, but this is her last option. Gully could die. He's sick. And she doesn't want to lose him. So, she's trying her hardest to say, okay, I should try to at least give this a shot and maybe use a little faith if I've got any left. So, the healer is called the architect. His name is Newman, and he's played by actor William Schimmel, but he's also known as the architect because he builds these very delicate, I would call them tunnels, out of pieces of little branches and twigs and things like that. And he takes the stricken person, the afflicted person, into the structure with him. And I don't know, he performs rituals of some kind, and he has these, this kind of lottery thing that he passes out pebbles wrapped in leaves, and whoever gets the right pebble is the one that gets the healing. Or I think in this instance, this first one you see within the first 10 minutes of the film or so, several people would have gotten the right would have gotten a chance to at least be, have a session with him. And, no one knows if he's a charlatan or not, but people, I guess, have heard good things about him, and they've dropped their lives and followed him, cross country for miles and miles. Giving up their jobs, giving up their lives because they've got children who are sick or spouses who are sick or something. And one family has a little boy who's got an eye that's partially blind and swollen. And one other family has a little girl whose legs are crippled. So I guess the architect is passing out pebbles, and I guess at least several families are going to have a chance to see him on this particular day, provided everything goes well. Well, guess what? Everything doesn't go well. First mistake that was made is that Nana allowed Ivan to bring his falcon. Ivan is a child who has been trained by his grandpa in the art of falconry. I don't know much about falconry, and this movie really isn't about falconry. But Ivan has a little falcon named, it's a cute little name. It starts with an I. It's kind of like it almost seems like a Inuit kind of a name. But anyway, he should not have come. He should have stayed home with Grandpa, or he should have left the bird at home. This was a very important excursion to her, and she treated it as though, hey, this bird isn't going to cause any chaos, but the bird did. Somehow that bird flew into the structure while the healer was trying to work with the little boy with the swollen eye. So, what happens? The bird flies into the structure, he gets confused, and the man doesn't allow anybody but the person who's getting healed and himself in there, because the structures are so frail that one little bad movement can cause them to collapse or tear up, and according to him, they need to be intact in order for the healings to, work. However, whatever thinking he's applying, I don't know anything about it. There's no religion mentioned in this movie. There's no Native American spirituality mentioned at all. Most of the cast is white, so I'm not really sure what kind of, faith or philosophy is being applied. All I know is the falcon pretty much messes up the healing. Jennifer Connelly chases the bird into that tunnel, as I call it, and while she's trying to get the bird to find its way out, the bird tears the roof up. The healer's pissed off, quite, justifiably, and she takes the little boy in her arms and, touches his face, trying to comfort him because he's all, startled and upset. In the meantime, everybody outside is just livid. They're angry. They're pissed. And Ivan's like, where's my bird? Where's my bird? He's just concerned about the bird. This happens. The healer says there's not going to be any more healings today. It takes him very long periods of time to build these structures out of twigs and wood and whatever. And so, since this one's ruined, he's upset. He's not in the mood to deal with people for the rest of the day. So, a very large, disappointed crowd prepares to head back to wherever they're, whatever close town is nearby. And they all turn against Nana and her two boys. They say, you leave that bird behind or you don't get to ride back with us. And Ivan's, of course, well, then I'll walk because I'm not going to leave without, Inky, or whatever the bird's name is. And the mother, of course, is trying to reason with Ivan. The bird can find his way back. He can follow our trucks, we can't walk back. We'll freeze to death. It's, 100 miles or so. I mean, they drove quite a ways. And so Ivan lets the bird off of his glove. And the father of another child, the little girl with the crippled legs, who he was hoping to God for a healing today, shoots the bird dead. And from that moment on, Ivan's relationship with his mother is completely altered. He blames her, but I think that, well, I mean, yes, it is her fault, because she should have had the boy stay at home with his damn bird, or she should have told the kid, you're not bringing the damn bird. This is too important. And if any little thing can possibly go wrong, because, I mean, there was no way. I mean, there's no telling why this intelligent bird flew erratically into this stick building and wrecked everything for everybody. I mean, they're intelligent birds, so I don't understand why it happened, except something guided the fate of Nana, who later on we find out is the one who healed the little boy's eye. This little boy, who we thought his eye was not healed because it was all messed up by the falcon, it ends up she touched his eye because she was holding him and trying to keep him, from going crazy because of the bird was in there. His eye went down a few days later, and his vision was partially restored to that blind eye. So the father of the boy thanks her, and the healer tells her, "You're the one who healed him. I didn't even touch him." And she does not believe. She says, no, that's bullshit. There's no way I did any of this. So, in the meantime, it's been a few, I would say, days to weeks. Ivan is still angry at his mom for the loss of his beloved pet. Apparently, he's very, very obsessed. I guess he was very obsessed with that little pet bird. I guess it might have been his first pet. I mean, Gully, the little boy that's sick, the brother that's sick, he's probably no more than maybe 5, 6. And Ivan looks like he's maybe 9, 10 tops. Maybe younger than that. They're both very little, small, young-looking, very small children. So, yeah, he's very angry, very, very angry with his mother. And it's like, she's like, "Don't you think I've been punished enough?" And he just doesn't respond much to her. But in the meantime, she's very, very preoccupied with Gully. I mean, his tumor's getting worse. He's wetting his pants. Without even noticing it. He's like, his brain function is deteriorating right before her eyes, but she still believes if she can just get to that healer and make amends with everybody that she can possibly make amends with, maybe she can get that healing. She just can't bear to lose Gully. She loves her little boy. She loves both of her little boys. There's no doubt in your mind. And there's no doubt in your mind that her sons love her too. Ivan loves his mother. He's just so angry. He's just a child. The first time I viewed this movie, you can hear it in my voice even now. Oh, that kid and his little precious bird, and there's an annoyance in my voice. But I understand better, especially with the grandpa's input. Grandpa Ike. He tells Nana, "You need to understand Ivan's point of view on this stuff. your attention is basically focused on Gully. He's dying. He could die. I understand you're upset. You don't want to lose him, but where does Ivan stand in all this? He's always on the back burner. He's always, you know, in the back of your mind, and he's never in the front of your mind. He's alive too, and you can't let him languish while you're grieving and worrying yourself sick over Gully. I mean, if you lose Gully, it's gonna hurt, but you have to remember that you have Ivan too, and Ivan is suffering, whether you believe it or not, and Nana has faults. Nana's not a perfect human being. She's very stubborn. She says, well, Ivan's a strong child. He'll have to learn how to take the blows that life gives him, and he'll have to learn how it is to be on the back of the burner, because that's how life is. She's just very stubborn, and she refuses to listen to her, father or father-in-law, whichever he is. So at a certain point, a few weeks later, the girl's father the girl with the crippled legs has learned that Nana, according to the architect, Nana is the one who healed the little boy with the bad eye. Now he wants Nana to come and please take a look at his daughter's legs. And heal them, if she will, if she is a healer. And he walks up to her and he says, I am so sorry I shot your little boy's bird. I was angry. He ruined my daughter's chances that day of getting her legs healed. And I was just very angry and emotional. He says, will you please consider coming to visit my daughter? And at first she's angry and she rebuffs him. But after a point, I might be missing some, but I'm talking so much that I'm giving practically the whole movie away from here. So, obviously in the front of the video, there will be major spoiler warning. After a point, she decides, yes, I will go look. I will go look at this little girl. And they build a special swing. The architect is there because he's training her. Basically he's training her in the ways of what he does. And apparently he is legit, because if he wasn't, why is he training her? Why is she following him? Why does everybody pass the word around about the architect? And why is everybody passing the word around about Nana now? See? She takes Ivan and Gully along with her wherever she goes. I guess she has nobody to sit them. And she tells them to wait in the truck while she goes to see some people. And Ivan's pretty much, it's the same old thing. He and Gully sit in the truck and they're bored and they play games for a little while, and she's gone for a long time, so Ivan decides to get out of the truck and go see what she's doing. He sees her holding the daughter of the man who shot his bird. And he's so enraged he can't see straight. So this little boy sees his mother pretty much fraternizing with the man who killed his pet. What he does next is not premeditated, but it's altogether the most horrifying, tragic thing. And for a child of that age, the guilt and the trauma and the lifelong scars. This reminds me of this older movie called The Stone Boy. Back from 1984. A boy who accidentally kills his brother. Well, an enraged young Ivan climbs back in the truck and says, Mom told me to drive us home. She's going to be a long time. And Gully's like, you can't drive. You're too little. And he's like, well, she said, let's go home. So he drives forward. They can't see because he's too little to see over the windshield and over the steering wheel. And of course, there's all this snow everywhere, and he hits a snowbank, and they end up on a frozen lake, and you can imagine what happens next. They both are unconscious under this frozen water, but somehow Ivan survives it and Gully drowns. And this next scene where Jennifer Connelly confronts Zen McGrath is just, my God, I mean, it is so horrible. It was so awful, but so beautifully done. Jason Presson. And the movie that really, though, impressed me with him was the Stone Boy. He accidentally kills his older brother. He accidentally, they're climbing over a fence and the gun goes off. And I think it's because he's handing the brother the gun. And after it happens, he's so in shock and traumatized that he's just stoic. That's why, it's almost like he's made from stone because he's so full of trauma. And this is kind of like the polar opposite. There's tears, there's sobbing, and then Ivan screams out just to assuage this horrifying guilt he's going through, this horrifying pain. Well, who cares? He would have died anyway. And he screams and leaves the room, and, he's crying, running down the stairs. And Jennifer Connelly says, no, he wouldn't have. No, he wouldn't have. I could have healed him, or somebody could have healed him eventually. But she's lost him. Her worst nightmare. Gully's gone. And after that, she can't bear to interface with Ivan. But Ivan hasn't talked. He hasn't even spoken in weeks. He just kind of walks around the house, just in a perpetual state of grief. After that terrible confrontation between the mother and her surviving son, she eventually decides that she has to leave. And she does not want Ivan to go with her. She wants Ivan to stay with Grandpa, Ike. So she goes to the little boy to say goodbye. He's in a tire swing, and he's holding a dead bird. And he says, I tried to stop my falcon from killing him, but he's dead. And Nana says, Ivan, falcons are hunting birds. That's what they do. You know that. But it was almost like Ivan was trying to say, I didn't mean for Gully to die. I tried to stop it, but Gully's dead. And Nana's eager to leave. It's almost as if she can't even look at Ivan because she's so angry. See, the anger is kind of switched back and forth now, but Ivan knows his mother's leaving and she's not coming back. Ever. He just knows it in his heart. And he's angry too, but her anger is, calm. She's going to leave because he killed her son. And his anger is right under the surface, and it's getting ready to blow up in her face. She says, don't you want to say goodbye to me? Give me a hug and a kiss, because I have to go. And he just kind of turns away from her. She goes, well, if you're not going to say goodbye to me, I'm going anyway. She's just firm. She's decided. There's no way she's going to change her mind. She's a stubborn woman. And then he says, Mom. And she turns around hoping that, yes, he's going to come give her a hug. And he throws the dead bird at her and it splatters all over the front of her. That's the rage that blew up in her face. And they never saw each other again until 20 years later. And accidentally, I mean, getting angry, seeing the man who shot your bird's daughter being cuddled by your mother after all that's exchanged between these two families. Yes, I can understand a child getting into a truck and driving angrily and not really... he didn't think out some way, well, I'm going to kill her son because she's hugging the daughter of my enemy. That's not it at all. So, you know, anybody who might have thought stuff like that and thought this kid was a brat or evil, please try to think again. Watch the movie again and open it up, you know? Because this is just real humanity on display. It doesn't tug at your heartstrings. It rips them out. It tears your heart out. So Melanie Laurent comes to him saying, I want to interview you about your falcons. You're one of the top breeders. You've cornered the market, etc., and so on. And he's like, yeah, okay. And they sit down to do the interview. But the minute she mentions his mother, the faith healer, he says, okay, I don't know who you are, but get out of my house. Because, of course, this woman, this strange person, this French journalist, he's like, who the hell are you? Are you here to interview me about my falcons? Are you here to inquire about my mother, this charlatan fake faith healer who, left for parts unknown 20 years ago to go do some bullshit sorcery stuff? And it's like she leaves, when Melanie Laurent leaves a CD behind, Ivan watches it with his wife, and something about it changes his mind. And you're not really sure. Maybe it's just the images of the work that Nana is doing. Or maybe it's just the image of her face. Maybe it's just, he finally says to himself, I want to find my mother and I want to see her for the first time. I want to face her as an adult and I want to know why she left me. I want to know why, after her son died that she was so preoccupied with, the son that she put on the back burner, she didn't think was important enough to stay with. I want to know why she thought I was so unimportant, or why she hated me so much. I want to know. I deserve the answers. And so he says, I'm going with you. He gets back in contact with Melanie Laurent's character, and they travel up through Manitoba, up to the extreme north part of Manitoba, maybe into the Northwestern Territories. I forget the name of the town, and I'll find out where it is for sure before I do the video. On the way, they encounter an accident on the road, and so they have to abandon their ride. I don't know if the Mounties, I don't know if they're the Mounties or just the police or whatever. But they're said you either walk back the way you came or walk wherever you're going. So they decide to walk forward. And if you've ever seen that show Ice Road Truckers, you know what I'm talking about. They're basically walking over the frozen ocean. That's just about all the options those people have up there. Because of the trauma of the death of Gully, Ivan, he seems to hear the ice cracking under their feet. These are two slender, they don't weigh very much. They're not big, bulky people. They're not in a big vehicle. They're not in a diesel truck, that's for sure. But they're walking, for hundreds of miles, or at least 50 or so miles. I don't know how far they got. But he's reduced to this sobbing heap after a few minutes because he keeps hearing the ice cracking. Melanie Laurent is several yards ahead of him because she's just walking along, no problem at all. But he's like, he hears the ice cracking, and pretty soon he's reduced to a standstill. And she's like, "What's wrong, Ivan? What's the matter? Don't come near me. Don't come near me. Please, please, stay back. The ice is cracking. I can hear it. I can see the crack. It's going to break." And this is part of what's left behind after Golly's death. And she coaxes him across the ice. He's crying his eyes out. And finally this guy comes and he takes them to his home. They spend the night. And he loans them his, I think, Jeep or something. And they get all the way up to where Nana is staying. I don't know. I think Nana travels just like the architect does. And I think by this point the architect is either deceased or retired or just gone or something. You don't see him again. But apparently she's getting ready to die. Nana is. She looks older. She looks kind of frazzled and worn out. And Melanie Laurent's character does ask her, now that you're getting ready to die yourself, talk about this and talk about that. And Nana's kind of like, she's like the architect used to be. She's got a little bit of an arrogance about her, like a little bit of it's not a Christ complex or anything, because Christ seems a lot more humble. Most depictions of Christ seem way humbler, but she just seems to have this, I'm too good for these kinds of questions. They diminish my meaning, and, image diminishes my meaning, whatever, just kind of cliched stuff. That's the part of the movie where I kind of thought it fell short just a little. I also thought she should have, well, let me get to that in a minute. There's just two little pieces toward the end that gave me a little bit of disappointment. But, Ivan finds out as soon as Melanie Laurent arrives at Nana's, temporary headquarters, as it were, that Melanie Laurent's character has some kind of sickness or illness. And he's pissed. He's like, "You mean to tell me that we're here because you're here for healing? You believe in this charlatan bitch? She's a fake. She's a phony and a fake, and she left me behind 20 years ago to follow that other phony fake. I came up here for answers. You came up here to follow around a, phony fake, healing, charlatan, no good, deadbeat mom." He's angry. He's pissed at her because she just, under the pretense of being a journalist, under the pretense of being interested in his falconry. I mean, again, he's like on the back burner. He just spends the entire movie being pissed off and disappointed by people. I'm not trying to say he was an ego, boner or whatever, but still, it's like, does anyone care about what I do? Does anybody give a shit about my life? So he finally sees his mom face to face, and she doesn't even seem to acknowledge him. It's like, even when she recognizes him, it's like there's no emotion in her face. She's just too haughty and too, like, Messiah complex. And it kind of pissed me off. It's like, lady, you owe something to your son. You owe it to him. You've had your time to grieve. Now get the fuck over yourself and get over there and give him a hug and say, Ivan, I am so happy to see you. I hope that you will forgive me. I had to get away. I had to process my grief. But he has to ask the question, why would a mother abandon her son? Why would she do that? Why did she hate, basically, why did you hate me that much? And she never really said, to my remembrance, and I saw the movie twice and I paid very close attention. She never said, I didn't hate you. She never said, I forgive you for what happened with Gully. She just said, well, the pain was just too much to bear with Gully. The pain was just too much to bear. And that was a chicken shit, weak sauce response to this young man's very real pain. She's in pain. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that this woman suffered extremely. But Ivan suffered too. And she's acting like his suffering wasn't nearly as fucking important as hers. That's what pissed me off in the finale of this film. That her suffering was too important compared to his. That he was just a little kid. And he was so busy being jealous of her poor sick little Gully. Gully was always first. Gully was always at the top of her priority list, whereas he was at the damn bottom and always was. And I really didn't see any true reconciliation between the two of them. She gave him a pebble to go give to Melanie Laurent. And then Melanie Laurent smiles, and she's going to get her healing. She's going to be able to get her session with the healer, Nana. But where's Ivan's happy ending? I don't really see it. And that's why, in spite of all of the praise I've given this movie, I'll have to give it probably 8.5 out of 10, because it is true. The ending can ruin a film. If they had hugged, if they had cried. I mean, yes, she gave him a hug. She held his hands for a few moments, but it didn't feel like she was truly sorry for anything. It felt more like, well, I had these important things to pursue. And you just stay with Grandpa and, go on with your falconing. She loved him. She sewed falcon hats for the kid. Yeah, but that wasn't adequate, in my opinion. She sewed falcon hats for the husband, too, before he died or left or whatever. Boy, at the beginning of this review, I sounded like I was going to give it a 10 out of 10, and then it wasn't a dud. It's not a dud in any way. It's a gem, but at the very end, I'm pissed at Nana because she seems so unapologetic. Like, hey, no matter what happened, you killed my little boy who I was so sure would get healed of that brain tumor. You killed him. And I'm never going to let you live that down. You're always going to be the one who killed my little Gully. And I think that's cruel. I believe humans have real pain, and maybe this is real. Like I said before, this is true humanity we're seeing. Maybe this is just the way these people can be, some people. I think it's cruel, though. It kind of angers me, and whether or not I'm right to be angry, that's just a matter of, individual opinion. I mean, it's probably more honest than most movies put forth, but I'm just too angry to give it a better rating than 8.5. I just think that Ivan was just shat upon the whole movie. His mother should have been more responsible from the very first minute of that movie. Don't let him bring that bird. Don't let him bring that bird. And that bird ended up dead. Ivan ended up accidentally killing his brother by absolutely no intentions. He had no plans, you know. I mean, he acted like a brat sometimes, but I mean, he was just a little kid. He was angry. He was trying to process his own pain. And, you know, children and pets. I mean, God, anybody who has half a heart and understands children and pets, it is a wonderful movie. I guess because it's such a good movie, it stirs the gamut of emotions that you've heard me display here. Anger, crying, you know, sadness. I mean, I love Jennifer Connelly's performance, and for the most part, I did love Nana, the character, because she was a rough-hewn, you know, she had her troubles, emotional troubles. She was able to tough it out, you know, for the most part. From the outset of that film, she made a lot of mistakes with Ivan, and they cost Ivan so much injustice to Ivan. And I include the death of Gully with that, because Ivan meant no harm to Gully. He meant no harm at all. He loved Gully. It was just that he knew, I mean, children are not stupid. He knew how big a gap between himself and Gully was on Nana's priority list. You know, we really underestimate children's intelligence. The actors, every one of them, the two children, beautiful actors. Connolly, like I said, amazing. Every time she's on screen, she's amazing. And Cillian Murphy was absolutely luminous, as usual. Melanie Laurent was a revelation, so I'm going to go watch, you know, that one with Ewan McGregor that I mentioned earlier. And all the supporting actors were great, too. So, yeah, the only trouble I had was my reaction to Nana's absolute nonchalance to Ivan being reunited with her. It was just, yeah, there was a little bit of, you know, hi, how are you? It's nice to see you again. And I'm, you know, yes, I left you because it was too much to take after Gully died. But to me, that's chicken shit. Absolute chicken shit. So 8.5 out of 10. That'll be my official rating. And I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to pare this down as much as I can. It's got to be going on like 45 minutes to an hour. One of the longest rambles I've ever done.